Good morning, students. Welcome back to our economics class here. So as we have started with our demand analysis chapter, like we have finished off some important questions in this chapter in our previous class, as we have done with determinants of demand, law of demand, right? So today we are going to continue with the same chapter, some more important questions from this chapter. Okay, so here in our previous class, we have discussed with law of demand, what are the determinants of demand, and why demand curve slopes downwards. We have seen the reasons why there is a negative sloping demand curve. So next question we are going to prepare here is exceptions to the law of demand. As you all know, exceptions to law of demand, most repeated question from this chapter, right? So today we are going to discuss that chapter here. So what are the exceptions to law of demand? Exceptions means in exceptional cases, law of demand is not applicable. For example, what do you mean by law of demand? Like as we have discussed in our previous chapter, what is law of demand? Law of demand explains the relation between price and quantity demanded, and according to law of demand, there is a negative relation between price and quantity demanded. That is what we have studied. So just see here. Now, as per law of demand explains the negative relation. According to law of demand, there is a negative, just you can write this way, the introduction here. According to law of demand, there is a negative relation. There is a negative relation between price and quantity demanded. What do you mean by negative relation here? When price increases, demand decreases, or when price decreases, demand increases. So this is what we have studied in our law of demand. This is in general. In general, for all the commodities, when price increases, demand decreases. But it is not applicable to all the type of commodities here. It is not applicable every time. Okay. So we can say in some exceptional cases, law of demand is not applicable. That means what? In some exceptional cases means what? In certain type of goods, or in some cases, when price increases, demand will not decrease. So what will happen that time? In some exceptional cases, when price increases, demand increases, or when price decreases, demand decreases. So what relation they will have? There is a positive relation between price and quantity demanded. So you can just see here what I'm explaining here. In some exceptional cases, our law of demand is not applicable, right? Means what? Actually, what was explained in our law of demand? When price increases, demand decreases, negative relation. But in certain exceptional cases, means in certain time, this law is not applicable. Means when price increases, our demand will not decrease. It may increase. Okay. When price decreases, our demand also decreases. So there exists a positive relation between price and quantity demanded. So when there is a positive relation, how will be our demand curve? Just see here, our demand, when there is a positive relation, quantity demanded on x-axis, price on y-axis. What we are saying here, there is a positive relation. OP is the price, OQ is the quantity. What I'm saying here, when price increases, demand also increases. If price is increasing to P1, demand is increasing to Q1. Okay, so when price decreases, what happens? Our demand also decreases. So our demand curve will be sloping upwards. When there is a positive relation, our demand curve slopes upwards because of positive relation. Okay, so this is how we will explain the law of demand here. What was explained in law of demand? Law of demand explains that when price increases, demand decreases. But in certain cases, our law of demand is not applicable. That means when price increases, our demand also increases. Means demand will not decrease. Positive relation will be there between price and quantity demanded. So this is what these are. Now let us see what are all the exceptional cases we are having. Means where law of demand is not applicable. So the first case is given goods. In case of given goods, why we call them as given goods? Because this concept was explained by Sir Robert Giffen. Sir Robert Giffen, he has observed in Britain that some of the workers, when the price of bread, some workers, as they are consuming bread and meat, bread is low priced one, meat is high priced one. When price of bread increases, they did not stop the consumption. They increased the consumption of bread by reducing the quantity of meat. Means here what you have seen here, though price of bread increased, right? What they have done, they increased the consumption, because whatever the money they are spending on meat, they have reduced that. That money they have used to purchase bread, because bread is the staple food for them. Okay, so these goods are called as inferior goods. Means in case of inferior goods, law of demand is not applicable. Why we say inferior goods? They are low priced goods, which are preferred by the people when their income levels are low. Okay, when a people income level is low, they don't want to consume high priced items. They reduce the consumption of high priced item and they will take the low priced item. So as bread is a staple food, they reduced the consumption of meat, and that money they have used to consume bread. Though the price of bread increased, demand for bread did not decrease. So those goods are inferior goods. In such case, our law of demand is not applicable. Okay. So examples you can take over here. Now for your inferior goods, we can take ragi, jawar, bajra, broken rice. These all are considered as inferior goods. Okay, inferior means what? When people's income levels are low, they prefer low priced items or low quality, which is very important for them. Okay, so that way we have given goods. In case of given goods, law of demand is not applicable. Is it clear? Now, second exceptional case is Veblen effect. Second exceptional case is Veblen effect. Veblen, Thorstein Veblen is most famous economist, where he pointed out that some of the goods where though price increases, demand also increases, like diamonds, costly furniture, okay, luxury items. In this case, what will happen? Though the price increases, we are not reducing the consumption. Means as the price increases, demand will not decrease. Why? Because people use luxury items for social status. People use luxury items for what? To show off their status. When the price decreases, they feel that they could not show status to others. That's why they reduce the demand. Okay, so we can say Veblen effect. These goods are called as Veblen goods or prestigious goods. Prestigious goods, which is used to show off the social status, like diamonds, costly furniture, etc. Okay, these are the examples for our Veblen goods. This concept was explained by Veblen, so it is related to the luxury goods here. That's why they are also called as Veblen goods or prestigious goods. So when we consume any commodity for social status, if price decreases, we feel that if the price is decreasing, other people also may purchase the goods. So there is no status to show off there. That is the reason we reduce the demand. We don't want to buy that one. So demand decreases when price decreases. It is also against our law of demand here. Okay. Okay. Then next one, next exceptional case is speculation. What is this speculation? Speculation means giving the wrong information or passing on the wrong information about the commodities, that in future the prices may still increase. So what we will do as a consumer? We feel that, okay, in future prices are increasing. So now only I will buy. Though the price is high, now only I will buy at high price. What happens? When price increases, demand also increases. So what is speculation over here? If price of the commodities are expected to increase in future, means we can say future expectations. Future expectations. In future, we expect that price is going to increase. So now only, though the price is high, we try to buy them at high price. So that is called as speculation. So in case of speculation also, when price is increasing, demand is also increasing. Okay. Or if we expect that in future price may decrease. Example, you can see in case of gold, this will happen mostly. Gold, some news will come. In future, gold prices are going to decrease. So what we will do? We will wait for future price, right? We don't buy them now. Though the price is low now, we don't buy them because we expect that in future, the price may decrease more. So now, though the price is low, demand is also low here because of future expectations. So that concept, in that concept also, law of demand is not applicable. Okay. All right. The next one is illusion. Illusion means what? It is the wrong opinion of consumer that higher the price, better the quality. Lower the price, less the quality. Generally, we all, some or the other point of time, as a consumer, even we feel the same thing. If the price for the product is high, we feel that it is of good quality, right? So when the price is decreasing, we feel that they are not giving good quality. It may be poor quality, or sometimes you see when they are giving in discount or when they reduce the price and give, we feel that maybe the quality is not good. That's why they are giving at less price. So it is a false opinion here, means our wrong opinion that higher the price, higher the quality, lower the price, lower the quality, right? Generally, we can observe this type of situation in branded items. Branded items, normally, if you take a purse, that purse like money, wallets and all, if you take a normal one, you may get it for 100 rupees or something like that. But if you go for branded one, it will cost you in thousands. Similarly, you can take watch, wristwatch when you are using. Normally, if you purchase, normally if it is low price, we feel that it is of not good quality. Branded one, if you have a company name or something like that, we feel we pay more price because we feel that the quality will be better. Okay, so it is the wrong opinion of the consumer, that is a false idea that high priced goods will have better quality than the low priced one. So they do not buy these goods, low quality goods or low priced goods, because they feel that it is not of good quality. So in that case also, our law of demand is not applicable over here. Okay, so these are the exceptional cases where law of demand is not applicable. Okay, so these exceptions to law of demand, very, 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 very important 5 marks question. Very easy and simple question for 5 marks. Okay, so what are the exceptions to law of demand? According to law of demand, there is a negative relation between price and quantity demanded. What do you mean by negative relation? When price increases, demand decreases. When price decreases, demand increases. That is called negative relation. But in some exceptional cases, law of demand is not applicable. There, when price increases, demand will not decrease, but it will increase. When price decreases, demand also decreases, or demand will not change. Either you can say here, demand may increase or decrease, or no change in demand. Okay, no change in demand will be there. So there exists a positive relation between price and quantity demanded. Positive relation means what? When price increases, demand increases, but there will be no negative relation. Okay, so what are the exceptional cases? Giffen goods. Giffen goods are also called as inferior goods. This concept was explained by Robert Giffen, where he observed among the laborer whose income levels are low, they prefer low quality, means which is they prefer bread over meat. Though price of bread increased, they did not stop the consumption of bread. Their price of meat did not change, but they did not purchase meat. They substituted meat with bread. So in case of inferior goods, when the consumers are low income, in case of inferior goods, law of demand is not applicable. Okay, the next one, Veblen effect. Veblen effect is what? This was explained by this was explained by Veblen. So these goods are called as Veblen goods, and this is in case of prestigious goods. Prestigious goods means what? Where we will show, we will use these products to show the status or like prestigious way. Okay, I have this product, you don't have, like luxury items. So in such case also, law of demand is not applicable. Speculation. Speculation is what? Our future expectations. As a consumer, we expect the prices to change in future. In future, if the price increases, means if we expect that in future, if price increases, now at present, though the price is high, we try to purchase more quantity because we think that in future prices may increase more. And if prices are decreasing in the future, we feel that now though the price is less, we feel that in future price may be low more. That's why we demand less quantity at present. So that is speculation. Illusion. Illusion is what? Wrong opinion, false idea of the consumer that high priced items is of good quality and low priced items is of low quality. But it is not true all the time, but it is a false idea of the people. Okay, so in these cases, law of demand is not applicable. So just see what are the cases they are not applicable. Giffen goods. So you can say in case of Giffen goods, law of demand is not applicable. In case of Veblen effect, law of demand is not applicable. In case of speculation, law of demand is not applicable. And for illusion, what are the exceptions to law of demand? Giffen goods, Veblen effect, speculation, and illusion. You remember the side headings and give the meaning. So for this answer, give the introduction. According to law of demand, there is a negative relation between price and quantity demanded. In some exceptional cases, law of demand is not applicable. There will be a positive relation between price and demand. In general, there is a negative relation. But in some cases, there will be a positive relation. When there is a positive relation, our demand curve will slope upwards. You have to draw the demand curve. Then, what are the cases where the demand curve is not applicable? These positive, Giffen goods, Veblen effect, speculation, illusion. Okay, Giffen goods are also called inferior goods. Veblen goods are the prestigious or the luxury goods, we can say. Speculation, which is nothing but future expectations. Illusion, our false idea that high price, better quality, low price, low quality. So these are the exceptional cases for law of demand. Okay. So this is one important question for your 5 marks. Just go through these answers. So after these exceptions, we are going to discuss with other few more topics, income demand, cross demand and all. Just go through once this one. So hope you all understood this one. So see, as we have discussed earlier, there are 3 types of demand: price demand, income demand, cross demand. In price demand, what all we have studied? Law of demand, why demand curve slope downwards, what are the exceptional cases for law of demand. Okay, now let us do with income demand. The next concept we have, that is income demand. So what is income demand? Income demand, it explains the relation between consumer income and quantity demanded. It explains the relation between consumer income and quantity demanded. So how we will write? See, this income demand, cross demand, what I'm explaining now, they're important for your 2 marks questions. So that's the reason I'm explaining this concept in detail here. Income demand, it explains the relation between consumer income and quantity demanded. So you can write it as quantity of X is a functional relation of income of the consumer. Okay, so here you see Q is the quantity, whereas Y is the income of the consumer. As the income increases, quantity may increase or may decrease. Okay, so when we explain income demand, we have to study about 2 types of goods. What are the 2 types of goods here? One is inferior goods. What are inferior goods? See, now in income demand, when we are explaining, it explains the relation between consumer income and quantity demanded. That we know. Other factors remain constant, means our price is not changing, technology is not changing, price of related goods are not changing here. Only when consumer's income changes, during that time, demand also changes. That concept is called as income demand. Okay. So now first, in case of inferior goods, what are inferior goods? Inferior goods are the low priced and low quality goods, mostly which are taken by when the people's income levels are low, right? What are inferior goods? They are less priced. They are of low quality and they are preferred mostly when the people's income levels are low. Okay. So these inferior goods, what will happen? When income increases, demand decreases. Inferior goods means what? Low priced one. When a consumer's income level increases, we don't prefer more of low priced goods. For example, now when you are a student, your income levels will be less. So you may prefer a normal watch. Okay, like 100 rupees watch you may purchase when you are as a student. But when you start earning, your income levels will be high. During that time, you may not prefer 100 rupees watch. You may go for branded watch here, right? So as your income levels are increasing, your purchasing power increases. You don't want to purchase low priced or low quality item. You want to buy the high price or best quality product. So in that case, what will happen? When income increases, demand decreases. So in case of inferior good, what is that we are having? We have negative relation. When there is a negative relation, our demand curve. So just see, when we are having negative relation, our demand curve slopes downwards. Demand curve slopes downwards. So just see here, in case of inferior goods, our demand curve will be sloping downwards. Means when the price is high, demand will be low. Sorry, when your income, here we have to take income, not price. Here income, when income is high, income is OY, we demand less quantity of inferior good. When income is more, we demand more quantity. So our demand curve will be sloping downwards. This is in case of inferior goods. Remember, again, inferior goods may come for 2 marks. Okay. So when they are giving it for 2 marks, you have to write the points. Inferior goods are the goods which are of low price, low quality, and they are preferred by the people when their income levels are low. In case of inferior goods, if income increases, demand decreases. Demand for inferior goods decreases. So there is a negative relation between the consumer's income and demand for inferior goods. When there is a negative relation, demand curve will slope downwards. Clear? This is about the inferior goods. Then, next type of good we have, those are superior goods. What are superior goods? Superior goods are also called as normal goods. So in case of normal goods, what happens? If consumers' income increases, demand for superior goods also increases. So in case of superior goods are our normal goods. Normal goods means what? Which we use in our day-to-day life. Our normal goods such as televisions, refrigerators, all these we are having now. Those are called as our normal goods. So in case of normal goods, what will happen here? When income increases, when our income levels are high, we try to buy more of comfort goods. For example, televisions are there. When our income is less, we don't want to buy that. We will buy a normal priced one. But when our income increases, we try to buy LCD or LED, something like that. So those come under our superior goods. So in this case, what will be there? There will be positive relation. So in case of superior good, there is a positive relation between price and demand for superior goods. When there is a positive relation, demand curve slopes upwards. When there is a positive relation, our demand curve will slope upwards. Sloping upwards means what? Just see the graph here. And on x-axis quantity, y-axis income, OY is the income and OQ is the quantity. As the income increases, demand also increases. So demand curve will be sloping upwards in case of superior goods. So here, when you write this answer, try to give the examples for this. For inferior goods, we can take ragi, jawar, bajra, broken rice. You have to write the examples also. See, inferior good depends upon the income level of the people. What is an inferior good to you may not be an inferior good to other person. We don't feel that for everyone inferior goods will be same. Depends on the income level. For high income people, these may not, some may not be considered as an inferior. That changes, differs from person to person. But in general, we consider these as the inferior goods. What are superior goods? Like we can say televisions, right? Or mobile phones or something like that. These will come under our superior or normal goods. So in this case, what is happening here? When our income increases, we are demanding more of the commodities. When income decreases, we demand less quantity. So this is all about the income demand. Just understand, try to understand the concept of income demand. Income demand explains the relation between consumer's income and quantity demanded. Means if consumer's income is changing, demand also changes. Okay. Now, there are two types of goods which we are having, inferior goods and superior goods. What are inferior goods? Which are low price or which are preferred mostly by the people when their income levels are low. Okay. So, in this case, what happens? When income increases, demand decreases. So, there is a negative relation between consumers' income and demand for inferior goods. When there is a negative relation, demand curve slopes downwards. Okay. Now, superior goods. The superior goods are also the normal goods here. Normal goods like when income increases, demand also increases. So, there is a positive relation. When there is a positive relation, demand curve slopes upwards. Okay. So, this is the concept of income demand. Here, these are very, very, very important for 2 marks. Either they may ask income demand or inferior goods or superior goods. So, when you get this question for 2 marks, for example, inferior good, you are getting it for 2 marks, what you will write? Inferior goods are the goods which are low priced or which are preferred by the people when their income levels are low. So, in case of inferior good, if income increases, demand for inferior good decreases. So, there is a negative relation between consumers' income and demand for inferior goods. As there is a negative relation, demand curve slope downwards. Okay, then you have to do the graph. If you draw the graph, weightage will be more. Some full marks you can score in this. Superior goods are also called as normal goods. In this case, if consumers' income increases, demand for superior goods also increases. So, there is a positive relation between consumers' income and demand for superior goods. When there is a positive relation, demand curve slope upwards. Okay. So, like superior goods we are having. Here, you may get a doubt. In given goods, demand curve is exceptional case. Whereas here, we say for inferior good, demand curve slope downwards. The main thing is that exceptional cases, price is affecting the demand. Whereas here, income is affecting the demand. We assume that price will remain constant. Got the point here? So, this is all about the inferior or income demand. Clear? Just go through once. Next, we will do with the cross demand concept. Okay. So, the next concept we are having, that is cross demand. Like as we have studied, 3 types of demand is there: price demand, income demand, and cross demand. Okay. Now, as we have studied with price demand, the income demand, now let us study with cross demand. What is cross demand? It explains the relation between two related goods. It explains the relation between two related goods, right? The two related goods are what relation it will be there? It will be either substitutes or complementary. Either substitutes or complementary goods. Okay. What will happen in case of cross demand? Why we call it as cross demand? Because, like for example, X and Y are related goods. So, if price of X changes, demand for Y will change. Means price of X will have an impact on demand for Y. That's why we call it as cross demand. Okay, so why we call it as cross demand? Because if price of one commodity changes, if price of one commodity changes, demand for another commodity changes. All other factors remain constant. All other factors remain constant. So what is the concept we are explaining here? In case of cross demand, if price of one commodity changes, demand for another commodity changes, right? Price of one will affect the demand for another. That's why we call that as related goods. Okay, so now what are the two related goods we are having? Substitutes and complementaries. So first, what are substitute goods? What are substitute goods? The goods which satisfy same want. Goods which satisfy same want, which can be used in place of another, or which can be used in place of another. Instead of one, we can use another commodity. Those goods are called as substitute goods. Example, you have to give example compulsory in your 2 marks question here. What is examples? Like we can take coffee and tea, or you can take pen and pencil. Okay, in this case, what will happen? For example, if price of pencil increases, we will not buy that one. We will replace that with pen. So demand for pen also increases over here. These two are substitute goods over here. Or you can take one more example also, like electric vehicles and petrol vehicles, right? If petrol price is high, we don't prefer petrol vehicles. So that way, in case of substitutes, what will happen here? If price of one good increases, demand for another increases. Means what? There is a positive relation. Positive relation for substitutes. When there is a positive relation, how will be our demand curve? Demand curve slopes upwards. Remember, positive relation means demand curve will slope upwards. Negative relation means demand curve will slope downwards. Positive means what? Both are increasing. Price as well as quantity, both are increasing. Okay, so for substitute goods, our demand curve will be sloping upwards. Here, quantity of X, price of X and quantity of Y we can take. So in this case, what will happen? If price of X increases, OP is the price, OQ is the quantity. If price of X increases, demand for Y also increases. So there is a upward sloping demand curve for substitutes. So for substitutes, what relation? Positive relation. How will be the demand curve in case of substitute goods? That is sloping upward. Okay. Now, after substitute, what are the other type of good we have? Complementary goods. What are complementary goods? Complementary goods are two goods jointly satisfy our want. Two goods jointly satisfy our wants. Means jointly means what? Like for example, if you have car and petrol. Without petrol, car is of no use. Without car, we don't use petrol, right? Or we can take another example also. Like you can take it as your book and pen, right? Writing book and pen. If pen is not there, what you will write on your book? If book is not there with pen, what you will do? Or we can take example board and chalk, blackboard and chalk. So these are dependent goods. In this case, what will happen? If price of one commodity increases, if price of one good increases, demand for another decreases. Why? See, if petrol price is increasing, if petrol prices are increasing, do we demand more petrol cars? No, we don't want to buy the car because petrol price is high. So, as the price is high for petrol, demand for cars are low. So, that is the reason. In this case, what we are having? In case of complementary goods, in case of complementary goods, there is a negative relation. Negative relation. When there is a negative relation, demand curve slope downwards. So when there is a negative relation, demand curve slope downwards. So how is our demand curve here? On x-axis, we take quantity of Y and price of X. If price is high, price of petrol is high, demand for petrol cars are low. If price for petrol decreases, demand for cars will be high. So there is a downward sloping demand curve for complementary goods. Okay, so this way, for complementary goods, two goods jointly will satisfy our wants. If price of one good increases, demand for another good decreases. There is a negative relation for complementary goods. When there is a negative relation, in case of complementary goods, demand curve will slope downwards. Clear? So this is about your cross demand. So is it clear with this cross demand here? Just see what all we have discussed today. Right. Today we have discussed with exceptions to law of demand. Means what was explained in law of demand? Law of demand explains that there is a negative relation between price and quantity demanded. But in some exceptional cases, when price increases, demand will not decrease. So it is against our law of demand here. So where all we can find this? There is a positive relation in case of Giffen goods, for Veblen goods, that is prestigious goods which are used to show the status. Speculation, when we expect in future the prices are going to change. In that case also law of demand is not applicable. And illusion, wrong opinion or false idea that when price increases, When price is high, when price is high, it is of good quality, and when price is low, it is of bad quality or low quality. So in these cases, our law of demand is not applicable. In exceptional case, our demand curve will slope upwards because of positive relation. Okay, so this is about exceptions to law of demand. Next, we have done with the concept of income demand. Income demand explains the relation between consumer income and quantity demanded. For it, there are two types of goods we are having: inferior goods and superior goods. Inferior goods are low priced, and these goods are preferred by the people when their income levels are low. In this case, as the income increases, income is a factor which is affecting the demand, not the price. As income increases, we demand less quantity of inferior goods. And as there is a negative relation between consumers' income and demand for inferior goods, demand curve slope downwards. Next, for superior goods. Superior goods are our normal goods which we buy when our income levels are high. So for superior goods, as consumers' income increases, demand for superior good also increases. There is a positive relation for substitute goods. When there is a positive relation, our demand curve will slope upwards. Okay, so this is for income demand. Then next you have cross demand. Cross demand is what? It explains the relation between two related goods. The two related goods are either substitutes or complementaries. If price of one commodity changes, demand for another commodity also changes. All other factor remains constant here. Income, technology will not affect the demand. There are two types of goods here. Substitute goods. What are substitute goods? Which we use in place of another, or which we use to satisfy the same one, either this or that. In this case, if price of one good increases, demand for another good also increases. So there is a positive relation. When there is a positive relation, demand curve slope upwards. Complementary goods, the goods which jointly satisfy our want, means two goods together only will satisfy our want. Dependent goods. In this case, if price of one good increases, demand for another good decreases. So there is a negative relation. Demand curve will slope downwards. So these are all the important questions you have to prepare from this chapter, right? In this demand analysis, what all the questions we have discussed, just see the questions, what all we have discussed. 5 marks question. First, we have done with determinants of demand. Determinants of demand. If you want these answers, you can go through the previous chapters, what we have discussed yesterday, day before yesterday and all. Then law of demand. Then exceptions to law of demand. Exceptions to law of demand. And reasons for downward sloping demand curve. Reasons for downward sloping or negative sloping demand curve. So from these questions, any two questions you will be getting from exam point of view for 5 marks. So in this, what all the questions we have discussed, you will get it for your 2 marks. 2 marks like demand function, demand schedule, demand curve, right? Then you are having Giffen goods, Veblen goods, and inferior goods, superior goods, substitute goods, complementary goods. So these all you will be getting for 2 marks questions. So be thorough with these questions. This will help you to score better marks in your third chapter. Very easy chapter. You can score good marks in this chapter. Okay. So this is all about your demand analysis. Thank you. We'll continue in next class.